Hey everyone, you are listening to the podcast Trust the Process, a safe space where you will hear from us women balancing their fitness and health while life goes on. Balanced diet, muscle gain, fat loss, new motherhood, getting back in shape, menopause onset, and so much more. And you are tuned into our latest episode. Corporate boardroom, racecourse podium, or professional dancing, can a woman have it all? And this is yet again a guest episode. Yay! But before that, let me introduce myself. I'm your host, Yasha, based in Singapore, professionally a cloud and AI technologist, a visual artist, a wife, a mother, a dog mom, and most importantly, a fitness enthusiast, often indulging into running, weightlifting, Hyrox, and Spartan races.
And this is Shanthi. I'm based in Malaysia. I'm a cybersecurity specialist, a wife, a mom to two boys, one dog, a budding Veena player, an avid reader, a globetrotter, and of course, a fitness enthusiast. And yay! This is yet another guest episode that we bring to you, and it is very timely for certain parts of the world approaching their last Hyrox season of the year. So, what better than to invite an expert on competitive sports and advise us all? Give us some last minute tips on juggling life, steadily preparing for their race day, keeping the fuel up to the mark, and still keeping sane.
So, today we are thrilled to sit down with Ilona Jade Arrington, a true powerhouse in Singapore fitness scene. Ilona, who works full-time as a marketer in the finance industry, is a Hyrox Ambassador, winner of 2024 Singapore National Stadium Hyrox race, multiple Hyrox World Champion athlete, and former Spartan Race Pro Team and Southeast Asian champion, who started her athletic career as a professional dancer and cheerleader, and whose passion for movement has taken many forms. So, as I mentioned before, beyond the finish lines, Ilona balances her athletic pursuits with a thriving career in marketing and corporate communications, proving that you can chase excellence both in boardroom and on the racecourse. She is spearheading conversations around fitness and empowerment for women across Southeast Asia and inspiring countless people to step up to the start line, whether it's sport or in life. So, we will talk about her journey from the stage to the podium, what it really takes to excel in hybrid fitness racing, and how she manages to harmonize her career, training, and personal growth. So, grab your coffee or lace up your running shoes and let's dive in. Ilona, over to you. We want to know everything about yourself to start with.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really delighted to join you both today and excited to have this conversation. I think you've shared so many wonderful things, so thank you for that introduction. But I guess to follow your style, my name is Ilona, or Ilona Jade to many. I am a corporate marketing and comms professional, a wife, and a fitness enthusiast. I've been living in Singapore since 2016, which is round about the time that I started chasing sunrises and start lines, which was maybe just a year or so before we moved out here. And before that, you really would be more likely to find me singing show tunes, rehearsing in a dance studio, or on a mat of the cheer competition. So my fitness journey has had many different chapters over the year, but the unifying thing has really been my passion for movement, growth, and just chasing peak performance. So excited to share with you what I can today and to have this conversation.
Wonderful, Ilona. That was a very modest intro. I remember we spoke about who Ilona is for like 15 minutes when we talked first time. But nevertheless, we will explore that. No worries. So, Ilona, I have to start with congratulating yourself. You have gathered so much so far, and we understand being a full-time corporate ourselves. What does it take to balance life, fitness, and work? But you are taking it to another level by being there on the podium every now and then. So, my first question to you is, you mentioned you started as a professional dancer. What drew you towards that? And do you think that built a foundation to influence your approach toward fitness, who you are today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in terms of what drew me towards that, I started dancing when I was like 2.5 years old. So, I think you probably have to go back and ask my mother. I think I used to tiptoe around the kitchen and was constantly kind of singing and dancing and doing all of those things and was always active growing up. So, I think there is a part of it that it was always innately a part of my life, even from a very young age. I always wanted to be outside playing tennis, swimming, playing netball, playing hockey, horse riding. So my poor parents really did have to put up with me doing as much as I could in every sphere. And I think really just I always felt most alive and most at peace with myself when I was moving and performing. And that's always been a real place of joy and growth for me. So I do think that that has really influenced even the attitude that I have towards fitness now. But I did also start early from more of a professional perspective as well. I first auditioned for the Scottish Ballet back when I was living in the UK when I was 8 years old. So that kind of quest for going to the highest level that I could and really pushing, even at that age, I remember being really conscious of school lunches, what I was eating, and that sort of thing. So I think the discipline and the interest has always really been there. And even in phases in my life where I've maybe pulled back from doing anything that's fitness related, it's always been something that I've gravitated back towards because I truly feel that that's when I bring my best self to every aspect of my life.
Awesome. Do you still dance?
I do from time to time, mostly around the kitchen with my husband now.
Great.
Ilona, I'm very interested to know about your journey in becoming the Southeast Asian Spartan champion. And from then on, also towards being a Hyrox champion altogether, leading to be Singapore's Hyrox Ambassador. So, how did that 2-year-old who was prancing around in the UK turn to be, going on to the podiums? I'm really interested to know that.
Kicking and screaming, to begin, to be honest. I did my first Spartan race back in 2015. And at that time, I was working full time as an events producer and account manager back in London. I was doing a little bit of running socially. I was doing yoga. I was still dancing and cheerleading competitively. So very much if you were to find me exercising, it was in a studio wearing my favorite sleek outfit. It was very clean. Oftentimes there was a lot of like makeup and hair and everything else, especially if I was going out and performing. And my husband was like, well, boyfriend at the time was like, oh, I feel like I'm losing fitness at the moment. He, I think, had just finished teacher training. He really wanted to refocus, and he was like, I've seen this race. It looks kind of like an obstacle course type activity I did when I was a cadet in the army. I want to give it a go. And I was like, yeah, that's great for you. He was like, why don't you train for it with me? And I was like, no, that's not my thing. I dance, I cheerlead. It looks really tough. Like, have you seen the marketing? It looks hard. It's going to be muddy. It's going to be cold. No, I'm not interested. And he ground me down. So kicking and screaming after about a month of him saying, let's give it a go, I finally said, fine, I will try it. But no one's ever going to believe I'm going to be out there running an obstacle course race. That's not the type of exercising I do. So if I'm going to do it, I'd like to raise money for charity. And living in London at the time, I could really see a lot of the challenges with homelessness that was around. So I decided that I was going to enter my first Spartan sprint, but do it to raise money for the charity shelter. And I blogged all about it. So somewhere out there on the blogosphere, there's a blog called Can I Spartan? Because I really did not believe I would ever make it to the end of a sprint race. It was just such a different style of movement from anything that I'd done. And we were young professionals at that time. We weren't making a lot of money, so we didn't have gym memberships. We created obstacles in our back garden to train. So we went and found like old garden gnomes that we tied ropes around that we would drag around for sled pulls. We'd go down to the local park to play on the monkey bars and really just went completely outside the realms of anything that I'd ever done. And got to the end of my first sprint race and felt just this huge amount of achievement that I had been crawling around in the mud, doing burpees and just trying a whole bunch of movements that I'd never done. So yeah, I think that was the start of it, that I got bitten by the bug. moved out to Singapore and just found an awesome community here. So I was like, okay, let's give it another go. And kind of quickly realized that my times were quite competitive. So I was like, oh, okay, like if this isn't going to be just something I do on the side, what happens if I actually train for this properly? Let's see. And yeah, the rest is really history.
That's quite a contrast, wearing silky outfits for your dance and coming to Spartan. And I can totally understand.
Yasha has also done Spartan races. I wanted a refresher on your Spartan race, Yasha. I know we were talking about
Yeah,
Ilona
that's
here.
yeah, that's why I can relate to Ilona's journey when she's mentioning that um you know I'm quite infamous among my friends as well, that oh, this is dirty, this is I have to be like obsessive about cleanliness, and then you go and do your Spartan race, you roll in the mud.
And you somehow
And yeah,
embrace the grime.
yes, yeah, but I'm happy with Hyrox now because at least you're sweaty but you're not muddy.
Also true, also true. It's quite a transition. And, I think maybe especially because it came to Asia post-pandemic, when people were a little bit more conscious of if you are traveling and cleanliness and that sort of thing, it probably landed here at quite a good time.
Yeah,
But very similar in terms of the demands that you put on your body.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think harder.
Yeah, I do as well. People used to ask me a lot when I was Spartan racing. I think especially women, how do you do it? It requires so much strength, so much upper body strength. And
Yeah.
when I was competing in Spartan race, actually, I found that maybe a lot of my dance training carried over in terms of there's a certain amount of strength that was required, but actually it was more a runner's race and then learning how to move your body in space. So monkey bars provided that you could use your momentum and kind of swing through and know how to like hit your hips and that sort of thing. Like there was actually a lot that good technique could cover for in terms of strength. Whereas I'd say that Hyrox is kind of the opposite. The weights are heavy, some of the stations are long. So yeah, I would say that's maybe the main difference, is that in Spartan you could get away with being a fast runner with good obstacle technique and be quite competitive. Whereas in Hyrox, I feel that you have to be a fast runner, but you also have to be strong on the stations as well.
I've never been a part of the Spartan races. Understanding from the two of you, what I think is you should not lose the child in you, then you can be really good in Spartan because, you know, children don't mind getting muddy. Children don't mind
Yes.
getting into puddles. As soon as they say a monkey bar, they're up on it. And I just wonder, when did we stop having fun? Like, as soon as we become adults, we think that, hey, we should stop having fun and be serious all the time. But the child in you would be really happy doing a Spartan race. But of course, Hyrox is another animal altogether. So yeah,
No,
it's
that's
fun.
such a good point. And I think that that was a huge part of what made me fall in love with obstacle course racing. Aside from the community and the opportunity here, it really was just that sense of play. Like every time you trained, every time you went out on course, yeah, you're just running around in a giant playground. And then you get to do it in beautiful locations around this region as well, whether you're running through mountain trails in Cebu or doing a Singapore City race. There were just so many options to, yeah, discover new places and play as you did it.
Mm. So, moving from fun to balancing. So, Ilona, you work full time as a marketing consultant while spearheading fitness. I have multiple questions on that, but I'll start with the balancing side. What strategies help you balance both the sides? And do you think corporate skills helped you in fitness world or vice versa? Because I think there was a phase in my life a few years back when the work was very difficult, very challenging, very demanding. And I felt that my extreme fitness regime that I was following that time, because I was doing a program, um, it it created some mental grit. So it fed back to my job, my work, and that's what I realized in hindsight, that oh, how did
Mhm.
I keep up with this tough phase and still doing this program? Um, but what do you think? Does corporate skills help you in your fitness world or the other way around?
Oh, what a great question. And, for me, I would say that it's definitely two-way traffic. I do find that it is complementary when you are pursuing goals both inside and outside of work. I think in the corporate world, work, and especially good work, is often rewarded with more work. And I love what I do. So, I think I am the sort of person that sometimes I need that excuse to stop for the day. Otherwise, I would just keep going. So I think definitely having that kind of checkpoint at the end of the day or things that I'm doing at the start of the day within my hobbies, I do find that super helpful and that I do my best and my most creative thinking whilst I'm training, especially when I'm running. I joke that I've never been one that's very good at meditating, so I call my running my meditation in motion. That's often when I am doing my best work. I'm just letting my thoughts kind of wander. It's when I start thinking about what is it that I'm doing through the day? How am I approaching challenges? And so I do find that it helps me to come to work more focused and more energized. And because of that, I think that, endurance athletes or people who are pursuing some form of fitness journey, there is, as you mentioned, a huge amount of resilience that they bring to the corporate world. I think there's so much that helps you within that style of training to take a more long-term view. You really are putting one foot in front of the other, clocking up the miles, thinking about what is that end goal. And I think that that's something that's really complementary within the corporate world. In terms of how I would balance it, I think being strict on your calendar is quite important. Knowing what are your blackout times for both work and both training. I'm super strict on my nutrition as well. So I do meal prep and bring things to work, especially planned snacks. For that time in the afternoon where people will maybe start bringing around treats and biscuits and all of those things that maybe don't help support your training as much. So, I'm usually the one that's there going, no, thank you. I'm going to have my protein shake now, or, I'm going to have something that's carb dense because I'm going to go hit the track afterwards. So I think kind of finding some of those areas where you can put the controls in place that will support either your training or your work and vice versa is definitely the way of doing it. But yes, I think for me, I find it's definitely a two-way street. There have been moments in my life where I've pulled back from training as extensively as I have done. And more than anything, I'd say I think my mental health suffers for it. Like I end up feeling less focused. My husband will be the first person to say that I'm not fun to be around if I've not gone out for a run or gone training. So, I think I'm maybe less collaborative or less happy to be around. Whereas the days that I have trained and that I feel like I'm prioritizing myself and my health, I feel like I bring my best self to work.
Totally, totally. I hope people who are working their ass off, they are listening to this, that this helps rather than break your schedule.
Yeah, and I think it is kind of hard because a lot of people do see it as time away from work and so somehow detracting rather than building. But some of it's a mindset shift, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean Yasha and I, we are big fans of keeping everything in our calendars as well because as full-time corporate women who are juggling home, our hobbies, our passions, everything has to go onto the calendar. Like even
Yes.
a lunch with my girlfriends, which we would probably uh, talk about it and say, hey, let's meet the 2 Mondays after. There is no way that I'm going to remember that if it's not on my calendar. So, although I
Oh,
very
I
much
totally
look
agree. I'm
forward.
also a calendar person.
Yeah, and it really helps. And also, we have spoken extensively on our episodes like control the controllables, right? There are
Yes.
some factors which you can't control, like sickness or travel or any other things that are not on our hands, but like meal prep is such a game changer.
Yeah.
A lot of women undermine that. They think they're spending too much time in the kitchen and uh, it's not really helping with the whole gender equality, etc. But I think everyone has to know how to cook firstly, and everyone has to meal prep. That is a favor they'll be doing, especially you don't need to run around and find out, hey, what's my dinner tonight, or what am I eating today, or any other cravings that might come. So it's really important to have that. So thank you for sharing that. um, Now Now that you are into competitive fitness, I would really like to know what are the unique challenges that women face in this area. We've spoken about corporate challenges, of course, but what are the challenges that competitive fitness women really face?
Sure. And I think, you just covered so many of the challenges that I think women face within this space. So, time being a huge one, juggling home life for yourselves, motherhood. I think, women do uniquely face a lot of demands on both their time, but also their emotions and their emotional capabilities, or emotional capacity, I should say, as well. So, knowing what your limits are and prioritizing recovery can be incredibly important for that. I think the other one, and you just raised it, was also food and nutrition as well. And a lot of people think about things like meal prepping and think, gosh, that's going to take a huge, huge amount of time. And certainly when I first started doing that, it did. I'd spend like 6+ hours in the kitchen on a Sunday being like, oh my gosh, is this worth it? Am I just taking like the time from every day of the week and then condensing it into one day and slaving away? But I think over the years, I've really learned how to do good, nutritious meal prep quickly. And that's also made a huge difference. And then I do actually find it a time saver. So now I spend maybe an hour to an hour and a half on a Sunday doing my meal prep, and then that's my meals done for the week. And I'm happy to share maybe some books or some approaches that I take to that. I think the first one was a cookbook that I was gifted by someone called Anna Jones, who really talks about batch prepping. So, for everyone living in Asia, getting your rice in the rice cooker and having that, a big tub of it already ready to go, getting other carbs, your potatoes, your vegetables, your meats, getting everything kind of done in batches so that you've basically got your own at-home salad bar during the week that you can pick from. So I think that's one strategy that can be really quick and easy. I'm a huge fan of an oven dish. So like a one dish wonder, where you can literally line up your carbs, your veggies, your protein, put it all into one dish, really quick and simple to prep. And then, that the lid goes on and you can just make your way through it through the week. So provided that you don't get too bored, maybe having 2 or 3 things that are that week's food, I think it can actually be really quick and simple and such a time saver. And I think incredibly important, because I think a huge challenge that women face around nutrition is, I would say, maybe rooted in a focus of the fitness industry for women being on appearance versus performance. And so a pressure to eat less, or, there's so many tropes of women smiling at salad bowl, rather than fueling adequately for the work that you need to do. And I think that's something that over the years I've gone through many learnings for. Even in some of my periods of time in my Spartan journey, I think I was at times chronically underfueled for the demands of both racing and showing up at work. And that did appear in many health issues. There was a point in time when, for a short period, I lost my menstrual cycle. And that was a huge red flag for me, and the learning that actually, if you are trying to put all these demands on your body, you do need to adequately fuel for them. And so I really took the time to go away and actually learn it's okay to eat carbs. That fuels what I'm doing. When I'm adequately fueled for the work that I'm doing, both in my training and at work, there's less brain fog, there's more energy, there's no mid-afternoon slump. And so for me, I think looking at what challenge it is that women face, that's one of the ones that I'm most passionate about, because I've had direct experience of how underfueling can affect so many areas of your life, and how when you are adequately fueled, that you just show up better in every space.
I'm so glad you spoke about that. I mean, imagine running a Spartan or running a Hyrox on salads. No, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't. You
No,
will hit the
yeah.
wall.
So I'm so glad you spoke about it, right? And also observed that there is a shift in the ecosystem where more women like yourselves are talking about importance of having carbs, importance of fueling yourself, and we change our diet accordingly, right? So that's super important.
I think so many of us unfortunately grew up in an era where skinny was the number
Yeah,
one goal. And that was
yeah,
everything that we saw in all of our media. It's what celebrities looked like, it's what the fashion industry put out. And I love the fact that now strong is becoming the new skinny, and that
Yes,
people
yes.
are learning that it's okay to be fed, not fasted.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's another whole topic of how they're achieving those bodies, but yeah, let's not get into that. But at least it's getting into the right direction. Okay, so another very important question, Ilona. How do you manage training routine when you are short on time? Because I bet you will be short on time a lot of times. Let's say you are traveling for work, or there is something that's, sometimes even sickness or some family affair, but a race is coming up, right? So, want to know what's your normal fitness regime with everything else going on as well? Yeah, happy go lucky, versus when you're preparing for a competitive event.
Okay, I'll take that in two parts.
Yeah.
My normal fitness routine, I'd say, I do a couple of days a week where I do two a day. So training before and after work. Um, it probably amounts to, in peak training times, about 10 to 12 hours worth of training a week. I would say about half and half on running versus other modalities. So strength, sim sessions in the lead up to competitions, mobility yoga, that sort of thing. That's kind of my ideal state. That's when I feel like I'm putting in the most amount of time for races. But as you said, life happens. And I do acknowledge that this for me is still a personal passion. It's something that I love to do, but it's not my livelihood. So especially when, you're looking at like travel times, training does get brought down, usually one a day, so rather than two a days. But I think some of that's about planning. If I know that I've got a travel week coming up for work, for example, then I will plan for that to be a deloaded week. So, I'll maybe reduce the number of sessions. Oftentimes, I'll reduce the amount of time that I spend in those sessions so that it feels a lot more focused. So, something that would maybe be a 60 to 75-minute session, maybe that's a 30 to 45-minute session that's just really focused on what is the core thing that I need to achieve to get it done. I think ultimately for me, I'm playing the long game. So whilst having races is great as like a marker in the calendar, what I don't want to do is be burning the candle at both ends. And I think that sometimes is also important, especially for those of us who are weekend warriors as well. It's easy and fun to get swept up in the hype of doing more and more and more. I'd say especially, people as they train for Hyrox, especially if they're early in their Hyrox journey, spend a hell of a lot of time focusing on high intensity work and race simulations, which there is 100% a time and place for. And in the lead up to competitions, I'd say maybe, the 6 to 8 weeks in the lead up to competitions, definitely you want to be touching those stations. You want to be experiencing what it feels like to run in and to run out and to push something heavy. You don't want to be doing a full simulation every single week because you will physically and mentally burn yourself out. And I'd say that's kind of one of the bigger mistakes that I see people making is actually just taking on too much intensity. So yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say in terms of then maintaining motivation, a lot of my training isn't disgustingly hard. Uh, I would maybe look at it as more of like an 80-20, like 20%. Yes, it's hard work. It's being on the track. I joined a wonderful track group this year. And, it's being out there together, sweating, pushing, running as fast as we can. Doing a sim session 20% of the time. How are you pushing the limits? 80% of the time, my training's really enjoyable. It's going out for nice, easy runs in the morning with friends and having a chat in zone one, zone two, looking at the scenery. It's going to the gym and it's picking up heavy weights, but manageable ones that the next day you can feel that you've worked things, but you're not like, oh, my DOMs are so bad, I can't move. So I think in terms of having a longevity mindset, but also being happy to get up and train every single day, you can move the needle a lot whilst still enjoying yourself.
Yeah, it's comparing students, if I have to put that analogy, that somebody who is just studying before the exams and somebody who had been studying the whole year.
Yes, it's very true. It's like doing those kind of little and often bits rather than having this super intense session. Because also, to use your analogy, you study just before the exam, you do the exam, and then you crash out afterwards because you're knackered. So
Yeah.
then how likely are you to go and do the exam again? Probably less likely.
Wonderful.
Yeah, here for the long run, that is very, very important. I was literally chatting with my best friend yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, I've gained 10 pounds. I'm going back to my crash diet." And I'm like, "Are you listening to my podcast at all?"
Let me send you some episodes.
And let me send you some episodes because what Yasha and I we keep talking about it is, you do it only when you know you can enjoy it in the long run. That's exactly what
Mm,
you said also, right? We're not, yeah, having a short-term goal is very important. It's very good so that it keeps you motivated. But again,
for
discipline is
sure.
also so important for us to like really go ahead and continue the whole long run so that it's become a lifestyle. The whole whatever you talked right now, the meal prep, the regular planning of your strength versus cardio, all these are really your lifestyle now. There's no negotiation, yeah. But when you travel, also you try and pull them in some form or the other. It could not be, or it need not be 100%, but you're still trying because it's become your lifestyle. So yeah, thank you for that. But you also mentioned about slumps, right? So my question would be like, how do you maintain your motivation during those injuries or setbacks or slumps? Maybe I'm really intrigued to know that.
Yeah, I think, you just mentioned that it becomes about it being a lifestyle. And I think that for me, that's become the key component is that oftentimes now training is just a non-negotiable. In the same way that you get up in the morning, you wash your face, you clean your teeth, you get dressed, and you move on with your day. Like training is just another step in that system. And I think when you look at it in that way as something that's a non-negotiable and that's just part of what you do, you take the decision out of it. I think oftentimes people get stuck or feel like they're not showing up for training or they're not showing up for themselves, if that's not exercise or food, many other areas of life, because they put a lot of choice into it. And I know that past me will plan lots of things that will make future me feel good. Present me is going to sit there and be like, oh, but I could have that chocolate cake. Oh, but maybe I could just go home and sit on the sofa and watch Netflix for a bit because it feels easy and it feels good in the moment. But future me won't thank present me for that. Future me is going to thank past me for planning and following through on what I'm going to do. So I think putting systems in place so that it becomes more of a habit than a decision is really, really key. I love James Clear's methods on habit stacking. And so I think that's something that I try and implement as well, which has also helped to make a lot of these lifestyle changes feel very small and manageable, in the same way that, like, for someone who's struggling to go to the gym or go out for a run, sometimes I'll say, well, why don't you just go for 10 minutes? Just get out, just do a little bit. Like, okay, why don't you just try walking to work? How do you take a small step that you implement into your routine that you can then build upon? Because oftentimes, if you've done 10 minutes, you might be okay to do 15. You might be okay to do 20. And you know what? If you do that and you don't make it that day and you decide to do something else, also being okay to say, okay, today wasn't my day. Like, life has happened. Today was a miss. Tomorrow I'm going to start again. Like, I'm never one for diet starts Monday because it puts too much pressure on Monday. I just start again tomorrow. Okay, today something has happened. We just go again. Tomorrow's a Thursday. Sure, fine, whatever. Just move on and keep going. So yeah, I think that's really the approach that I try and take, so that even in moments of slump or when it feels hard, that it's not a choice, it's just something I do, and I always feel better for it.
It's yeah, it reminds me of I was reading a book, and I've started doing that now. Have a conversation with your future self. And I do
Oh,
that a
I love
lot.
that.
Yeah, I do that a lot now because I know I will piss everyone around me, my husband, my child. I will be in a bad mood because I didn't go to gym today, I didn't do my run, and my targets are not finished. But it was my choice to sit and eat something and sleep over or whatever, right? So I give myself that. Let's have a quick conversation with your future self. You will annoy everyone, you will cry. Better go out for 10 minutes. And then, to your point, those 10 minutes become half an hour, and you finish your thing and you come back and you feel like a winner.
Yes, exactly.
Totally get it.
Absolutely. One of my favorite books is James Clear's Atomic Habits. It's really something that I believe it has changed my life. Like those little things that the author suggests, they're really atomic. They seem
Mm.
small, but if you really put them into your daily grind, yeah, that's not going to stop us, definitely. Yeah. But, and again, I'm so glad I'm talking to you because it feels like we're all on the same bandwidth, and that's why we come together. Somehow the universe aligns, if you believe in that. Because I never believe that diet starts on a Monday. I always say this to any of my friends who are like, oh, babe, I think I'm going to start from the 1st of Jan, or after the Diwali party, or after
Oh.
Christmas. And I'm like, you still have time for the Diwali party, so you can still start today and indulge yourself during Diwali, and then Christmas is coming and all of that. So, but yeah, it's very important to start immediately because it is now, time is now. Okay.
Since we are talking about all these festivities, I'll share my experience, Ilona, and ask you how you handled that. Since quite some time, I'm doing a program again. I don't know what to call it, body transformation. I want to see my abs and cuts and all, right? So I am on a very low carb, low calorie diet, and I keep doing that cyclically, right? Not always, but let's say 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And when you are in that phase and you are invited to a party, or you have that, once in a lifetime kind of at work trip, because work has decided to throw something, they were generous. All those kind of events, and you can't do your thing because you are on this program. And I think 10 years back, I would give up and take a break, and I would say that let me continue this afterwards. But I don't do that anymore. I'm like, no, I'm disciplined. I'll finish this program. I cannot take a break. And a lot of time, it annoys your friends who have invited you, cooked for you, right? Um, or I even miss my date nights now with my husband. He tells me, let's go out. And I'm like, what will we do? We can't drink, we can't eat. Let's go for a walk rather. So the choices have changed, but I'm sure it's impacting something or the other. How do you feel about missing the life? Do a lot of friends tell me that hey, you are missing the life. I don't feel like I'm missing the life because I have created different choices. So I'm enjoying that. But how do you handle that? And any nutritional recovery habits that you swear by not to miss your life, particularly when you have to sleep early because you have to go for a run next morning, you can't do late night parties. How do you juggle with all that?
That's such a good question. There's so much in there. And I think similar to you, I don't feel like I'm missing life. I love my life. I love what it is that I'm doing, and I'm very at peace with the choices that I'm making. I think for me, there's not much that beats that feeling post a long run on a Saturday morning when you're sat with your friends having brunch and enjoying brunch because you've just sweated it out in the jungle here. And I think I would take that over being mildly drunk on a Friday night somewhere questioning my life choices at 2 a.m. anytime. So do I feel like I'm missing anything? No, not at all. And I think also for me, over the years, I've realized that being out and drinking, like there was definitely a time in my life where I did more of that. Now I don't really relish having a 1-2 day hangover. I like to get up the next morning and feel productive and feel like I'm taking things on. So I think from a missing side of things, no, I don't feel that. I feel very blessed here that I've found my tribe of other people who also love to exercise, love brunch. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. So other people who also enjoy those sorts of lifestyle activities, maybe who want to go and hang out and do some contrast therapy rather than going to a nightclub, who also want to have a quiet, Friday night, Saturday night. So I think maybe finding your tribe can be an important part of that. My husband and I a couple of years ago made a decision that we didn't want every date night to be about going out and eating and drinking. So have kind of made a real push to find other things to do around Singapore. So whether that's going and doing an escape room, going to the cinema to watch a movie, choosing somewhere that we've not been before and just going for a walk and exploring it. I think we've really made a concerted effort to find other things. And actually, we found that by not just focusing our social activities around eating and drinking, not just together, but also, with a lot of friends now who'll be like, oh, yeah, actually, let's do a games night. Let's do a murder mystery. Let's all sit and play Cranium together. Or something like that. We've recently got the Taskmaster board game that we've been playing as part of kind of a group activity. So, you also find other opportunities to learn and discover each other and see each other in a different light. So I think that has been a happy discovery, and I don't feel like I'm missing things. In the situations where, maybe as you said, there's a work event or someone's party or something like that, that, are non-negotiables in your life. I think sometimes it's just about how you manage it. I'm a lot more okay nowadays, just being like, hey, that I have a strict diet that I stick to. Do you mind if I bring something? Can I be the person that supplies all of the non-alcoholic drinks for your party? Do you mind if I come with something meal prepped, but I'm going to bring a healthy dessert for you? So I think sometimes it's about looking at what you can add rather than what you're detracting, and just being comfortable, hey, that's great that you're all drinking. I'm okay with a Diet Coke, or I'm actually just going to have a lime and soda, and I'm all right with that. I'm happy to be around you drinking. That's your choice. This is mine. And I think sometimes it is just having that confidence in yourself and realizing that people might make a comment, but then they're going to move on.
So I'm taking away two things. One, find the right tribe. Hey, friends, are you listening? And second, like be the host yourself, right? Like take the snacks to the party that you want to eat. That's interesting. Yeah, I'll do that next time.
And my biggest takeaway would be that date nights need not be wine and dine. It could be really a board game. And in fact, I think families have stopped playing board games in the last decade or even more
Yeah.
because of the advent of the technological devices that have like really seeped into our lives. But again, I have two boys, they're 19 and 21, no longer young adults I have, but we do take our Friday nights very seriously. We play a board game. Our latest addiction is something called the sequence. It's just so addictive, so much fun. So we just sit there after dinner, have an early dinner, which was unheard of on Friday nights usually. But we do that, and then we hit up a movie, either we go out or, but we make time for each other, for one another. And then, of course, getting the right tribe is super important. Absolutely. Let them comment, but if they understand your life choices, they either will jump on your bandwagon or they'll leave you to it. So either way, you're not going to lose on it. So that's great. So my next question would be like, what would that one piece of advice to women looking to reinvent themselves in career or fitness? What would that be?
Oh, I'm not sure that I qualify to answer that in terms of reinvention. But I think really just being true to yourself and what it is that you want and love and value. I think there was a time in my life that I almost felt like I was living a double life, or like I had to apologize or hide or feel ashamed for the choices that I was making in order to pursue both a corporate career and to be openly ambitious about doing both that and pursuing fitness goals. And that somehow I wanted to keep those two aspects of my life, my personality separate. And over the years, I think I just learned to just embrace that they are all parts of me, and putting all of that together is what makes me my happiest and best and boldest self. So I think that would be the main piece of advice that I give to people, is just being confident in the choices that you want to make yourself happy and to live your best life. and other people will embrace you for it.
Wonderful. Okay, one tricky question. I don't know if you share that experience or not. So, I mean, I'll again start with my experience. I do a lot of fitness, races, all these things, right? Fitness, some or the other fitness program is always going on. And I have a huge respect for those people. Like, I have a couple of colleagues at office who are like triathlon runners or who are bodybuilding champions, and I know that how much effort it takes to come show up at work and be regular at your work, but also acing your fitness game. And not only acing, but you are also competing, right? It means that we can rely on you. It means you are accountable, because if you are doing that and this, then of course you're handling your work at a very high standard, right? So for me, I have huge respect for those people because I know what it takes. But I have a feeling that at work, sometimes your colleagues, they might take you less seriously, or they might think you're less competent at work because, oh, she has an outside work interest. Oh, she's into fitness and she's going for her race. Do you feel that? What's your experience there? And have you ever encountered such feedback?
I have, and I think that's something that I've pondered a lot over the years and wondered if it's ever anything that's been explicitly said to me or if it's something that I've felt or assumed more. And as you said, having other colleagues who I've seen pursue amazing goals outside of work, I have so much respect for them and the time and the dedication that it takes to do that. And I think, if you look at people, for example, who are entrepreneurial, who maybe have a side hustle or a business outside of their day job, a lot of people look at them and go, wow, that's incredible, the way that they're managing their time, the way that they're delivering on multiple fronts. I think that's seen as quite a positive thing.
Yeah.
And so, why shouldn't fitness be the same? I think to an extent, I feel that the feeling of being lesser than for having a focus inside and outside of work has maybe come a little from fear. Oftentimes, people ask a lot of questions about it, and there was a point in my life where I felt like the questions were accusations. Because like you're making weird choices, you're making unusual choices, you're not doing the same as everyone else. And so,
Mhm.
why is that? And I think that did make me feel like maybe people thought that I had less focus at work or were questioning why I had different interests. And actually, over time, I've reflected on it and realized that people have never explicitly said, why are you doing that? That's a bad choice. That's a worse choice. So now I choose to assume a positive intent and that people are asking questions from a place of curiosity or a place
Mhm.
of interest. And so, if you look at it through that lens,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to be like, actually, you know what I'm doing outside of work is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
And if by sharing with someone, I can help give them an insight into that, maybe inspire them to make different choices, then that's actually awesome. So that's not something to be hidden or apologized for. That is something to share and be open about. And now I love it. If colleagues come to me and they're like, hey, I had a health check and the doctor said that I need to be eating more protein. What do I do? I'm like, great, let me tell you about it. I'm going to bring you in a sample of my favorite products. Like, you want to go for lunch together? We can talk about how we can build a balanced plate. And so I get a lot of joy now from sharing with those around me and hopefully helping them to maybe see things in a slightly different way.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a combination of two things. One, that's very important point you brought in, that stop thinking that people are looking in a bad light, right? Maybe they are appreciating. So stop overthinking. But at the same time, there is a unconscious bias among people. Help address that if you can, like you are addressing that. Make them more knowledgeable or educated. Probably share your journey, then they will appreciate it more.
Yeah, for sure. In the same way that, we wouldn't necessarily go and question someone like, hey, you went and sat and watched Netflix for 6 hours last night after work? Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
And if we do, and they want to be like, actually, you know what? It's because I'm so passionate about movies and I just love
Yeah.
watching and analyzing and understanding these different films, then also great. Like you've
Yeah.
shared and you've learned from each other, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the unconscious bias, I think we women are victims of that more often than not. I think it's a very good question, Yasha, because, in the recent past, I want to share something which happened to me that I have applied for a role at work, and there was a feedback that, oh, Shanti does a lot of things outside of work. She has a plate full. We don't know whether she would be ready for this demanding role. And
Oh,
I
okay.
was, yeah, and this was such an eye opener. I said, what I do outside of my work is absolutely my plant and my passion that drives me, right? And what I do within the 40 hours of what I've signed for work, so it's absolutely my prerogative on how to manage that, right? And if someone judges you, oh, whether is she ready to take on a demanding role, it shows their place and not ours because we're already managing so much. So I decided to like really take it with a pinch of salt, move on, and because I'm already doing it all. Like a lot of us are already doing it so much. Of course, again, Yasha and I, we were just saying, can a woman have it all? No, it's a myth, right? It's like we are okay to drop a ball. We can't juggle all the things at all the times. It's okay to drop one at a time and and focus on things what matter the most. So
Mm.
yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think, as you said, there are certain unconscious biases there, but that reflects more on them rather than
It
on you.
is.
Because you know what? If you want something done, ask a busy woman and they will get it done.
Exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ah, okay, but thank you for listening, and I'll have to lighten the moment and the
Yeah.
mood a bit. So let's have a fun rapid round. I'm going to ask you a question, answer in probably a word or a sentence, like it's really rapid, right? So just let's go with that. Okay, Ilona, who inspires you in the fitness space and why?
Oh, so many people. If I had to choose one, no, I'm going to choose two. Gabby Thomas, who's an American track and
Okay.
field athlete, but
Mhm.
also Harvard educated and a huge advocate. Again, just when we're talking about women who are juggling many things and performing in many areas, like her name is always top of mind.
Yeah.
And then also my namesake, Ilona Maher, who is a rugby player. And she's just really redefining what fitness looks like for women and young girls everywhere, and is a huge advocate of body positivity and just showing that performance doesn't need to look like skinny or like in a certain way, and just how beautiful it is to be strong and confident and a woman in sport.
Okay, perfect. What is that one fitness gadget that you can't live without?
Oh, I would have to say it would be my compression recovery boots. I am obsessed with them. I've used them for years and years now. I found that they were a real game changer when it came to my recovery from increasing my running volume. So I'll kind of sit in the evening and I'll have my dinner sat with my legs up with my compression boots on, and it just helps with that feeling. Definitely the next day when you're getting up, sometimes you'd be like, oh God, my calves are stiff. Oh, can I quite move? I think it just takes the edge off of that.
Thanks.
Wow, I'm going to look it up. Compression boots. Never heard of
Yeah.
them, but yeah.
Oh, they're
Okay,
pricey, but so worth the investment. Like I've had mine for years and years.
awesome. So next, what's harder, training or consistency?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to say training. I think for me, consistency, as I said, now it's just showing up. Like there's no decision in it, but training when you're training hard because
Yes.
you're entering the pain cave and you're embracing that and you're pushing through. So yeah, showing up isn't hard. Sometimes entering the pain cave on the days when it all feels like a bit too much, that's hard.
That is hard. That is hard. And I commend you for continuing despite it being hard, right? It's how it is. Okay, one thing corporates can learn from athletes.
Oh, goal setting. I think athletes are incredibly good at planning a season, picking goals, picking smart, measurable goals, and putting plans in place in order to achieve them. I think in the corporate world, especially in this side of the world, we want to do everything, and we're maybe not always as smart about prioritizing. So, yeah, I would say learning how to pick like the few really big things and having a clear plan towards them.
I'll take the
Awesome.
last question.
Yes. Yes.
If you could add one more station to Hyrox, what it would be?
Oh, oh no, I'm not sure about
What's
that one.
missing? Yeah.
Yeah, like I think as a race, it's so incredibly complete. I think if I was going to add one more thing, it would probably have to be something that was upper body, because Hyrox is an incredibly lower body and posterior chain dominant event.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe calling on like my Spartan side of things, maybe something that's like
Pull-ups?
hanging pull-ups or monkey bars or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's lock in for pull-up, Shanti.
I'm going to regret that if anyone from Hyrox is listening. My pull-up game is no longer good.
Okay. Once a pull-up holder is always a one. Okay, cool. Thank you for running this fun rapid round, Shanti. And with that, we come to the end of this enlightening episode with you, Ilona. And hope it was insightful, especially for those who are preparing for the last season of Hyrox happening in Singapore in November. And for everyone else who think it is impossible to cater to their own fitness when life gets tough at work or otherwise, you have no excuse now. You know the tips on your fingers now from Ilona. There certainly are ways to make things happen. And with leaving you all with that wisdom, we will close this episode. And thank you, Ilona, for showing up and making this fantastic episode with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you both. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you giving me the time today. And if anyone's interested in following along on my journey, please do feel free to check out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Ilona JTE. YouTube, we're just gearing up for season 2, which is going to be the 25-26 Hyrox season. So, all things training and prep. So, yeah, please do come and follow along the journey.
Awesome. We will
That
share your social media handles through the podcast as well.
we will do that. So I'm very glad we had this conversation. This has been a real fun one. I'm very happy that we just didn't speak about Hyrox. We had a lot of other topics which were so wide and so ranged, and I'm really happy that we had this. So do not forget to subscribe us. And if you like this episode, please do send it to your friends who might benefit from listening to it. We are on YouTube along with Spotify, Amazon, and Audible, and Apple as well, of course. So please like, share, and subscribe. And do not forget to trust the process. Thank you so much. This is Shanti signing off, and goodbye.
Yeah. And Yasha from this side. And look out for Ilona's social media handle and YouTube handle on our Instagram page, Trust the Process.
Thank you, and goodbye.